Chærete, friends. Welcome to Classics in Color, your weekly dive into some of the ancient world's wackiest facts. I'm Mark Graves, and if you can't tell, I'm just a little bit excited for autumn and for Halloween and everything. So I've got a bunch of videos lined up this month with spooky stories and themes to them. And I thought I would start that off with today's story, which is kind of a combination of two different genres. On the one hand, we've got the classic damsel in distress, knight in shining armor, and on the other hand, we've got ghost story. So let's get started. Our story today comes from the Greek travel writer Pausanias. His whole thing is that he travels around Greece, visiting all the different cities and little villages and hamlets, learning all of the folklore and myths connected to all of these little places. So he is just chock full of fascinating little stories and bits of information. I use him often in these videos, and I'm happy to use them again today. The city that he found this ghost story in is called Temesa. The citizens of Temesa claim that once upon a time, Odysseus, making his long voyage home, was blown off course once again to their fair city. While he was recuperating there, one of his sailors got very drunk and assaulted one of their young maidens. The locals were justifiably outraged, and they stoned the offending sailor to death. Odysseus decided he did not want to deal with this problem and left the dead sailor unburied, sailing off as soon as he could. But leaving somebody unburied is always a recipe for disaster in these stories. Sure enough, this ghost immediately begins haunting Temesa, wreaking havoc everywhere, indiscriminately killing citizens of all kinds, all ages, just incessant murder. This becomes such a massive problem that the citizens start to wonder if they should abandon their city entirely and migrate somewhere else. That's a big decision, so they consult the Pythian priestess or the oracle of Apollo to see if that's the right move. Apollo, strangely, orders them to stay put and instead try to appease this ghost, to worship him, give him offerings, basically bend the knee and bribe this ghost. So they listen to Apollo, which, is unfortunate, but probably the wise move to make if you're an ancient Greek. They build a whole temple to this ghost, and every year they select the most beautiful maiden of Temesa to offer to the ghost as a bride/sacrifice. And this does seem to work. The ghost stops killing everyone, aside from that one maiden a year thing, and everybody sort of settles down. And this continues for years. It becomes a tradition until one day, let's see how Pausanias ends it. But Euthymus happened to come to Temesa just at the time when the ghost was being propitiated in the usual way. Learning what was going on, he had a strong desire to enter the temple, and not only to enter it, but to look at the maiden. When he saw her, he first felt pity, and afterwards love for her. The girl swore to marry him if he saved her, and so Euthymus, with his armor on, awaited the onslaught of the ghost. He won the fight, and the spirit was driven out of the land and disappeared, sinking into the depths of the sea. Euthymus had a distinguished wedding, and the inhabitants were freed from the ghost forever. So I just think that is such a charming, bizarre little fairy tale-like story. Let me know what your reactions are in the comments, and thank you so much for checking out this video. Special thank you as always to subscribers and to Patreon members, and I hope to see all of you again next week. Chærete.